Where did we have ice cream the other day?
Where did we have ice cream?
Yeah, we got ice cream the other day, didn't we?
We had ice cream with dessert.
Sorry, I was with Mom and Miss.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
Sorry. I got a root beer float at Culver's. It was delightful.
Yep, definitely wasn't me.
Okay, sorry, that was
No,
Miss and Mom.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Matt Fiona Show. Thank you so much for joining us. We are incredibly happy that you are here. As always, before we jump into today's topic, please go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment, all of those things. Wherever you're watching this or listening to this, it helps with all of the algorithms and all that other jazz and helps us get a little bit more expansion, we'll say, which is great. All right. We are going to kick off today's show with an interesting topic that I don't think we've touched on before.
No.
But it's a good one. It's called More Than Once. Unless I change it later. But right now, it's more than once. And the premise that we want to get into is that you can't just do something one time and expect spectacular results.
Right.
Yeah. It takes time. It takes a little bit of investment. We are in a society that is instantaneous.
Instantaneous society.
Right.
The microwave society.
So even with this show,
right,
if the first 3 to 5 seconds didn't catch you, you probably aren't watching it.
Right.
If you're on social media and you're scrolling, you've got to be caught in that first 5 seconds or you're going to swipe right past it.
Yeah.
It is incredibly, incredibly messed up in our society, the way in which we are so instantaneous and we don't look at stuff more than once. I wanted to tell a little story to kind of lead into this. About sushi, which now I love.
Yes, now
but
you do love.
When I met you,
right,
I did not.
No, you didn't.
And I had tried sushi.
Had differing.
Yes, I had tried
opinions.
Sushi multiple times before I met you. And then when I met you, you were a big fan of sushi. And I still was not.
No, he wasn't.
And every now and again, you would get sushi and offer me one. A roll here, a roll there. And I didn't like it.
Yep.
And I didn't like it, and I didn't like it, and I didn't like it, and I didn't like it. And then one day, a business acquaintance of mine, we were trying to schedule a business lunch, and he had the place, so we had to go. And I was really trying to make this business deal work with him. So I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll go wherever you want. Let me know. Turns out it was
a sushi restaurant.
It was his buddy's sushi joint. I don't know why I can't say sushi today.
Sushi.
But sushi. Oh my gosh.
Sushi.
It's late. Leave me alone.
A sushi restaurant.
That's going to be the reel for the whole show. It's just us trying to say
sushi.
No, I'm not even trying. So he takes me to this joint, and I am trying to be the good, like business partner person. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know what I want. Just, order for me. We'll go. And I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm going to just tough this out.
Right.
Because again, I want the deal signed.
Yeah. So you're going to make it happen.
So we're going to do it. Started eating. I'm like, I don't mind this.
This was a very exciting day for me, by the way.
Came home, told you all about it.
Oh, I was very excited.
And it wasn't more than a couple of weeks before we went back to that same restaurant.
Yes, exactly.
And now I might like it more than you do. Or I like a
you
wider
like a
variety.
wider variety than I do for sure.
Yeah. And again, it's a great kind of concept, right? And a great real world example of what we're trying to talk about today.
Illustration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you cannot just try things one time, right? My dad has a similar story. about Caesar salad.
I was just thinking about that.
Where he hated Caesar salad. He would try it and wouldn't like it.
No, I
Or
don't
wouldn't-
even
no,
think
he wouldn't even try it.
He wouldn't even try it.
He
He
thought
had
it was
just
gross
made
and
up his
disgusting.
mind.
Yep. So he would not try it. And then finally, my mom convinced him to try it one day.
And it's his favorite.
Yeah. Well,
Now-
and you hear that about coffee a lot,
Yes.
right? We talked with somebody just the other day. He had never liked coffee his entire life. 3 years ago, had a cup, all of a sudden loved it.
Well, even like it's a simple, like even with our kids, my kids eat whatever I put on the table.
Yes, they do.
And if it's a vegetable that they don't like, they still have to, I will give them a small portion. I won't overload them, but they
Right.
still have to have some of it.
Yep.
And our oldest did not like carrots, did not like carrots when I would like roast them.
Yep.
And now he loves them. We're still working on zucchini with him.
Yes.
And
And onion.
And onion.
And mushroom.
But if I am talking about
work in
carrots,
progress.
it's a work in progress. But no, and there are some other things like that too that he didn't like. But you know what? It's what I made.
Yep.
Here's the food, and you need your vegetables. Eat it. And he had to try it more than once.
Yep.
But now he enjoys it. And I mean, again, these are just silly illustrations, but I think they're very practical illustrations.
Well, and we wanted to relate this to your Christian walk,
Right.
right? There are a litany of real world examples of this.
I'm sure you have your own as well.
But again, the important one that we wanted to touch on was, you can believe God for a healing, right? But if you pray one time and you don't get that healing, and you give up at that point,
yes. Then you will never push through to
you're
that
never
healing.
going to get there, right?
You become discouraged.
It takes. We're in a society where, we jokingly talked about it at the top of the show, right? We're in a society where everything has to be instantaneous.
Right.
And as you're walking through that walk, as you're, getting yourself to church, as you're doing all these things, we so want that instant result, right?
Yeah.
We want to be.
We want it now.
We want it now.
We don't want to wait.
No. Well, I went to the bank today, this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I had something I had to deal with, and I probably should have seen a teller. There were 10 people in line. I'm like, I'm not waiting. So I just stinking dealt with it at the machine.
Right.
And again, it was fine, but I was not waiting for 10 people.
Okay, so here, I'll say this. I go to the office today. I did not make my coffee here. I was waiting for my coffee. I was going to make my coffee there. We have a coffee pot, and we have the Keurig. I like it better out of the coffee pot. But
Keurig's faster.
I wanted my coffee now, and the Keurig's faster. So you know what I did? I took the pod, put it in, pressed the button. Well, put the mug under and press the button because I wanted my coffee now. I didn't want to go through all those steps for that extra less than 5 minutes to get my coffee.
So a lot of times when we're working at walking out our Christian walk, we get discouraged and we get frustrated and we get annoyed because these things we pray for, we don't see.
The answers don't see right now.
Yeah. It's something that, young Christians deal with a lot, but honestly, mature Christians deal with too.
Yes.
Of, I have prayed for this for so long, and you can get to the point where, you're one or the other. Either you've prayed once, it didn't happen, God must not love me. Because he didn't answer my prayer. Right?
Or God's not real.
Yeah.
Or God's not true to his word.
However down that
however
vein you want to
wanna-
go.
Yeah.
But the flip side of it is you can get to the point where it's just routine.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because you've just gotten lazy with the fact that whatever you're praying for hasn't happened. Right? So if you're praying for a family member's salvation, right? And like we've got family members that we know of that are in our extended family that aren't either where they should be or connected at all.
Right.
And we're praying for them.
Yes.
But, you get to that point where you've prayed a lot and there's no perceivable change.
Right.
So then it's like, okay, well, it's just, I'm going through the prayer and just ticking the box and ticking the box and ticking the box.
Yeah.
And there's no faith. There's no excitement with that prayer. You're literally just saying something else in the middle of that prayer that you're doing. And
you're completing a task.
Yes. There's
Really?
So often there's no faith with it because whether you want to admit it to yourself or not, you've given up on it.
Right.
Right. Because you've prayed for a day, you've prayed for a week, you've prayed for a month.
You've prayed for it for 5 years, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You've got to remember that it takes time. It takes more than once.
Well, so just as an example, right? First of all, when we were getting into this, right, the whole more than once thing came, somebody who comes back to church, you need to try it more than once. You need to make it routine because we've seen, we've seen everything, I feel like sometimes, but we see the person who goes back to church once or twice and they're there a couple times or life doesn't change and then they fade back out. Or, the person who's like, I'm going to try tithing and they try for 2 weeks and their whole life situation didn't turn around. So therefore it must not work. Or I'm going to, pray for myself, pray for somebody else. And we know what the Bible says. So therefore it must happen. And then when it doesn't, well, I guess it doesn't work. And they're trying things once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. I'm going to just real quick, as we're talking about this, what goes through my head is if you look back at the Bible, I shouldn't say nothing because there were some instantaneouses for sure. But Moses wandered for 40 years. Abraham had to believe for over 25 years for Isaac.
Yep.
Noah was told 100 years before the flood came that the flood was coming. There's so many examples, time after time after time after time. Joseph had a vision that he would be rulers over his brother. He went through a lot before that came. And through that whole journey, that never seemed like it could potentially be a reality through what he went through.
Yep.
Their journey to get to that end point was not instantaneous. It was not one time.
It wasn't fun.
It wasn't fun. It wasn't enjoyable. And, yes, the Bible says, with tithing, test me in these things to see, but there's a consistency, right? In order to rebuke the devourer for our sake, we need to be tithers.
Yep.
A tithe or a one-time gift, should we say, does not make you a tither, right?
Yep.
That is a gift. You have to become a tither. It's not just a one-time offering or a one-time gift. When you pray, we pray for our kids all the time.
Yep.
And I will be perfectly honest and blunt to say there are some times when my kids don't feel well and all I want is instantaneous. Lay my hand on the sick and they shall recover. And I want instantaneous because they're my kids.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I don't know if I've ever seen that boom.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
But you want to know what? I keep praying. I keep confessing. There are some times I am in their bed at night. I mean, and again, we have very healthy kids. This doesn't happen often, but
praying over them for hours.
I am praying over them for hours. I am sometimes honestly falling asleep in between, waking up and praying for them. And you know what I'm going to do every single time they don't feel well? I'm going to pray for them.
Well, it says, right? You've got to pray without ceasing.
Yes.
Right. I think we so often, we don't know, again, as Christians, as society, as however you want to phrase it, right? We don't have any stamina.
Yeah.
We're really wimpy. So when we need something from God,
Right.
or when we're waiting for a manifestation,
Right.
or whatever you're working through, if you don't have the stamina to pray for a little bit, right? Like, and you saw this in the Bible with Jesus, with the disciples,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
He goes into the garden to pray before he's going to be turned over,
Right.
right? He knows that's going to happen. Other than Judas, the other disciples do not. He goes in to pray. He tells them to stand guard. This is Jesus we're talking about,
Yeah.
right? Like, they knew he was a big deal. It wasn't like, hey, it's this dude we hang out with,
Right.
right?
They saw.
They had seen some stuff.
They know. Yeah.
They had seen some stuff. He goes in to pray, tells them to stand guard, right? And I'm sure the implication was, you should probably be praying too, right? He comes out, they're asleep.
Yeah.
He goes, you could not tarry with me for 1 hour.
Right.
Right. So I bring that up not to like bemoan the disciples, but they were right there and it was a struggle for them.
Yeah.
Right. When we were going through trying to have kids, right? That was, and I know we bring it up a lot on this show, but the reason we do is because it's honestly our best example that we have. We went through lots of tests, lots of time, lots of being told that there is no way medically, there is a 0% chance of you ever getting pregnant, right? Multiple times. We got it on record. I got the receipts. If we had only prayed one time, right? Which we did years ago.
Yep.
If we had only prayed the one time, if we had only prayed once a month for that, if we had only stood on the word, confessed the word one time for that, we would not have any kids right now.
No.
Right? I talk to younger Christians, and not age, but in, their walk, and a lot of older Christians, about how frustrated they are that whatever they're believing for hasn't come to pass. And every time it's like, well, how long have you been praying for this? How long have you been standing on this?
Right.
And for some, it's a long time. For some, it's not.
Right.
And it's, hold on, man. Like, yes. Do you still believe it will come to pass? Oh, yeah, kind of. I'm like, no. That's not going to cut it.
Faith without doubt. Sorry, continue.
You have to be firm. You have to be strong. You cannot be a wimp.
No.
You have to put the time and the effort in.
Yep.
Right? Was there days that we didn't pray for having kids? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if a day went by from when we started that process to having a kid to today.
Right.
I don't think there's a day that goes by where we were not praying for those kids,
confessing, speaking it over us,
all
right?
of these
all
things,
of that, right?
Right. You cannot do it one time and expect spectacular results.
It's not going to happen.
Does that mean that God cannot do that? Not at all. He can totally one time show up for somebody.
Absolutely.
Right? But in most situations, you don't have the faith to get there. And honestly, neither do I.
Right.
But there is something about the dedication and the effort. And I get so heartbroken when I hear about, well, I went to this church one time and I didn't like it, or no one said hi to me, so I'm never going back.
And it's not even that they're not going back to that church. They tried church once and it wasn't for them. Or, I tried praying once and it wasn't it didn't work. I don't know. It didn't feel right. Or praise and worship. You know, I mean, you can add any of that on.
I tried to find someone to listen to, and they all sucked. Well, how many artists did you try? Well, like one.
Or,
Like,
you know,
cool.
I tried.
Cool story, bro.
I tried once helping out, you know, being part of that ministry of help thing. But I mean, I didn't really want to clean the toilets, or I felt I was better suited for something else, or.
Never start people with toilets. It's a bad look.
No, but meaning there's a perseverance that's needed, and trying anything once doesn't create a routine. If you say you've fallen away from church, because it happens, and you think you want to get back, and you go once, but you know the Sunday morning came early.
Yeah.
Keep going, because eventually, you'll get used to it. I mean, you got to do it with work. Let's be honest. But you need to give God. He has given you way more than one opportunity.
Well, you got to give him room to move.
Yes, but he has never given up on you. Don't back down and give up on him because something didn't work once. I mean, and maybe it's been 5 times, maybe it's been 10 times, maybe it's been 20 times that something hasn't worked.
Well, try
right?
21.
Try 21, try 22. No, but you know, I'm saying them more than once because, I mean, it kind of stemmed, for me, it stemmed from something where having a conversation of, well, I went to church, I tried it once.
I don't like it.
Wasn't
weird.
for me. So, you know, it stems sort of from that situation. Also, you know, I knew somebody, you know, a conversation of, well, you know, I really needed some things to change in my life. You know, I went for a couple of weeks, I gave in the offering and my life didn't change. You know, and I've just seen a couple of situations, had a couple of conversations with people where I tried that once. Or I invited somebody to church once and they said no. So I just figured, why try again?
Well, and that's like, that was the thing that I was thinking of too.
Right.
Was the, you know, I tried to witness to somebody and they didn't want to hear me.
Right.
So I'm not.
I'm just not going to, like, why bother?
It's like, well, okay, cool. But like, is that how you deal with everything in life? Why is it only church where you're like this? Because if you go to a restaurant and you don't have a great meal, are you never going back?
Right.
Like, I couldn't tell you how many times I've gone to McDonald's because their fries are great. And their fries sucked.
But I was going to say, how often do their fries suck?
Did it mean I didn't go back 2 weeks later?
Well, we don't.
No, I don't go to
Yeah, I
McDonald's
was
very
going to say
often.
we don't
But
come
like,
very often. But
in the past, I have.
right.
But so like, I get coffee, right? Go to Timmy's, get a little cappuccino, call it a day. The cappuccino comes out of a machine. So sometimes if it's not filled, it's on it sucks. Half the time, I just go buy another one.
Right.
Did it suck? Was it a bad experience? Yeah. Did I care? No. I moved on and got another one. So why, when it comes to church, do we not treat things like that?
Right.
Right?
You know.
You go all kinds of places and you have a poor experience.
Right.
With a variety of things. I went skiing. I fell down. I'm never skiing again. Really? You're going to go ski again?
I flew on a plane and the airport was just terrible.
So you're never going to go anywhere anymore?
You'll be back. I'm just saying, right? Like,
we give everything else multiple chances, right? Why would we not, and not that God needs multiple chances, but like, why would we not be open to just trying it more than once?
Right.
Whatever it is. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm tired of the excuses.
Well, I think, no, but it is. Again, so we do this to
Tell
be
me more.
encouraging.
Was
No.
that not encouraging? I thought that was very
It
encouraging.
is very encouraging. No,
I
but
encourage them to stop being wimps.
there we go.
But I didn't look directly at the camera when I said it, so it wasn't that mean.
No,
It was less impactful.
I think the whole point of this is if it doesn't happen the first time, don't give up, right? I am going to continue to pray for my children when they're not feeling well, even though I have not seen instantaneous. Now, I always see them improve. I always see them bounce back.
Yep.
And I guarantee you that they bounce back quicker because we lift them up daily in prayer, whether they're feeling well or not. But I continue to pray over them when they're not feeling well. And, we have had instances where in the morning we have a child who is not well. And by the afternoon, they are outside running around.
Yep.
And, was it instantaneous? No. But was it a quick recovery? Yes. And has it been times where we've had to pray longer? But just because I don't see that instant doesn't mean I'm not going to pray for my child.
Yeah.
I am going to pray without ceasing over that child. That is what we did with our children, right? To be honest, there's situations we're still praying over in our lives that we have not seen answers to, that we are still expecting, and we're going to keep praying for. And that is going to be our life. There is an endurance. The Bible literally tells us that we need endurance to run this race, right? And
Again, like, we have a good marriage.
Yes.
We still pray over our marriage daily.
Yes, daily. And we still work on it.
Like, this whole one and done thing just drives me mad.
Right.
Because, again, it's just a factor of, our fast food mindset.
So this is one thing, and I'm just going to bring this up before we wrap. But, I've had conversations with people that are like, well, we prayed once. And by praying again, it means that we don't believe that God heard our prayer. So therefore, I'm only praying once and never again.
Cool story, bro.
Sure. There's praise and worshiping over it. There's also, so a lot of times what we did, so we had our prayer, but we also had I'm just going back to children, us believing for children. There were times I would cry out to God. I would pray the same thing that I had prayed crying out to God. But there's also a lot of times that let me tell you, I got to a point where I just thanked him. My prayer time was thanking him for the answers to my prayers, right? There was also the confession of speaking over my body, speaking over your body, speaking over the situation, speaking over our future children's bodies, because I knew that it would come to pass.
Yeah.
But sometimes that prayer was thanking God for that answer.
Oh, yeah.
But you can't just pray once and then just let it.
I'm going to call out anybody who says that, though. No. Like, because
I know, but I'm pointing it out.
That was a very beautiful spiritual explanation of it. If you're one of those people who says, I can only pray once because then I'm believing that God must not have heard my prayer the first time, honey, you ain't got the faith for that.
So
get out of here with that.
But I'm just saying, because I have literally had those conversations.
I've heard it too, and they don't. No.
But that's, again,
Sorry.
The encouragement of more than once. You hold you
pray for the manifestation of it.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Stop with this legalistic aspect. Not you.
No.
You're fine. But if you're one of those people who is caught in this legalistic aspect, you're doing it wrong. You're one of those. This is me biting my tongue as much as humanly possible. I see this
happening. It's very visual.
Get on your knees and pray the Bible.
Yes.
Pray without ceasing. Does he hear you? Yeah. Would he hear you again? Keep praying it.
So just real quick, I'm just
how many
throw this out there.
biblical examples are there?
But also, I'm going to put it. How many times do I talk to you about the same thing over and over again?
I hear you every time.
No, but seriously,
It's real life.
How many times does your pastor preach the same thing over and over again because you don't get it the first time? Because it doesn't absorb and sink into your heart.
I'm trying to think who it was.
But the more you pray and speak the word over a situation, you can't just do it once. The more you pray and speak over a situation, the more it goes from here into here, and you trust and believe that answer will come.
So Doc tells the story about John Osteen.
Okay.
And I've heard, I've never heard it in person, but I've heard John Osteen say this himself.
Okay.
Right? That, he was preaching the same message, right? For years. Obviously tweaked a little bit, but the same message.
Right.
And he's in his prayer room and he's kind of crying out to God. He's like, God, when are you going to let me preach something else? I've been preaching this for 30 years.
Right.
And God talks to him, it's like, when the people get it.
Yeah.
And again, this is getting slightly off topic, but
that's okay. This is a good topic.
It is the same topic. Again, we're a fast food society. Pastor, preach something new. I've heard this before.
Right.
My gosh, preach something better, something new. You didn't get it the first 50 times he preached it. Sit down, listen, pay attention, and maybe you'll get it.
It's so true.
I won't do this because I'm nicer than this. In our church, where we've got a bunch of good Christians, I would love to stand outside and ask every single one of our people as they walk out the door, What did Pastor preach on this morning? And I'm going to close your notebook so you can't open it. What was the general topic? Not even a point, not a verse he pulled to. Stop with this. It takes more than once. That's why your pastor continually hammers the same topic home.
Because we need it.
Our pastor has got, because I manage all this, he has 630 something episodes on end times related teaching. Right? Varying from 4 minutes to 20. He's barely touched on stuff.
Yep.
You could pray, study, learn forever. Right? You start looking at the sports stars, right? So like when Tiger's putting, he doesn't putt once and go, "Ooh, I got it." Right? Because he sunk the little 3-footer. The reason, if you ever look at Tiger.
Sorry, I was just thinking 3-point, like basketball.
Basketball's the same.
Yeah.
But if you ever look at Tiger, he always has tape right here on his finger. If you're listening, I'm pointing to tape on my finger, which I don't have, but Tiger does. The reason he has tape there is because he hits so many golf balls that he wears the skin on his finger off. Every day.
Yep.
Right? You ask Steph Curry how he got so good at shooting threes. It's because he shoots thousands every day.
Anything that leads to success is always done more than once. And we cannot think that our walk with God, our faith, our prayer life should be any different. We need to get to church, not just once. I'm going to argue to say not just once a week.
Yeah.
We can't pray just once. Honestly, we can't even just pray once a day. Sometimes it requires a whole lot more than that. We need in our life, especially now with what we're dealing with and the age that we're living with and the world and everything, we need more than once. We need consistency. We need Jesus all the time. We need our walk with him to be continual. So once isn't going to cut it. And I think that was just one of the things I've seen it. Well, I tried church once, or I've tried it a couple of times. I just don't know. I prayed once. I didn't see any answers. There's no other avenue, as you said, with Tiger, as you said, with Stephen Curry, any sports, period. Honestly, any person who's successful in any vein of life, nothing came by just doing it once. So stop it with church and stop it with God. More than once, continual. And I guarantee you, if you hold fast and you truly put your trust and your faith in Him, and you make a commitment to effectively walk with Him and give Him your life, every minute of every hour of every day, you will see change. But it has to be more than once.
And on that encouraging note, thanks for joining us on this wonderful episode. I hope you feel encouraged, because I do.
You should feel encouraged.
All right. As always, thanks again for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. And we will see you next week on another episode of The Matt and Fiona Show.
Bye now.